Hi there. This is the first of two videos for use in the second month of our 12-month course here in Living Resilience in October of 2024. The course is called Islands of Sanity in a Mad World. It's meant to be in service of the collapse-aware and collapse-acceptant communities around the world. And I know it sounds a bit crazy that we're offering up a 12-month-long course in the age of nanosecond attention spans, but stay with us in this particular cornerstone video. This is one of two videos that are really essential for us to share a language and hopefully share some context and experience within these 12 months of how we can be of support for one another to be more and more present in the face of larger and larger stressors. So welcome and follow along, if you will, as we introduce this particular cornerstone piece of course material for Islands of Sanity in a Mad World. This first video is our offering here in Living Resilience of a rather simplistic response to the question, what got us into this existential predicament? As you'll soon see, our answer is basically, we have disconnected. This video will prepare us for the work of our online Zoom gathering on the first Saturday here in October of 2024. The second video, produced to prepare us for our online gathering in the third Saturday of 2024, is our offering of a few responses to the questions, how can we reconnect with our own inner wisdom, with other people, with Earth, and with our own experience of soul? And how can we expand our capacities to be present in the face of ever-growing stressors? What kind of questions are you asking yourself about the world these days? A number of questions that can prompt us to deeper inquiry. One, and perhaps the easiest and most generic question that might be asked these days is, what got us into this predicament? And I might add, what got us into this self-terminating, human-caused predicament? But that's for a more advanced crowd. It's okay to keep it basic. Whatever level you're asking your questions on is the great place to start. Another question that we could use to deepen our exploration in these times, what would have us increase our fossil fuel production, consumption, and emissions over the 30 years of international conferences, studies, protests, and promises, when we have known all along that climate change would be cumulative and very lethal? And by the way, since 1980, we've consumed more fossil fuels than in all of humanity's history before 1980. What would have us, here's the next question. What would have us yawn when confronted with the facts of our many human-caused extinctions, destruction of habitat, ubiquitous toxic and forever chemicals, worshiping the very corporations who are driving these metrics, and look away disinterested when provided with abundant evidence of the self-terminating nature of our global human operating systems? What would have us yawn? The next question, what would have us turn to government and corporate leaders who are clearly saturated in the perverse incentives of our business as usual systems and have zero interest in diverging from those suicidal incentives? Why are we turning toward them for leadership, is the question. How do we speak with our children about these questions? This is obviously the next question. How do we speak with our children about these questions? Do we maintain a smiley demeanor and continue to speak about college educations, career plans, summer vacation plans, retirement strategies? Or are we called to include our older children in an exploration of how shall we comport ourselves in these times of existential challenge and separation? What will life be like for them as they enter adulthood? All these questions and many more are begging for our attention. Virtually none of these questions get airtime in our mainstream media, not even much in the online alternative media. These are all third rail conversations. I'm Dean Walker, founder of a small organization here in the interwebs called Living Resilience. This is an online community space providing transformative support, resources, and practices to the world's collapse-aware and collapse-acceptant communities. We've been providing courses, support groups, coaching, podcasts, basically the inner work of collapse for more than 10 years now. This video is part of the core curriculum curated for our largest and most recent online course called Islands of Sanity in a Mad World. Running counter to all manner of conventional wisdom and possibly all common sense, this Islands of Sanity in a Mad World course runs between September 2024 and September 2025. New participants are welcome to join us at any point in that time. All of the live Zoom sessions that'll happen each month of this year-long course will be recorded. And so anyone who misses out on a course or comes in after a session will be able to watch the recordings at any time. All instructions for joining our online community space and all of our courses, including Islands of Sanity in a Mad World, can be found in the show notes for this video. The main theme of this course is to expand our capacities to be fully present in the face of ever-growing stressors. One way we are intending to do that is by collaboratively redefining what it means to be robustly healthy or well in terms of our physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and relational health. In this video, we start to lay out some preliminary exploration of how on earth did we get ourselves into this bundle of human-caused predicaments, and what can we do about what appears to be a global commitment to self-termination and decimation of our shared global habitat, Mother Earth. Spoiler alert, at no point in the Islands of Sanity course or any other offering from us here at Living Resilience will you hear us offer any solutions at any scale larger than our own bodies, lives, relationships, perhaps families, maybe neighborhoods. No one, I repeat, no one knows how to fix or transform or change or find solutions for our global predicaments. That is, in fact, the definition of predicament, a wicked problem for which there are no solutions. This does not mean we don't encourage valiant attempts, novel, ingenious ideas, or any level of activism. We're just committed to telling the truth about our shared global predicaments and updating that truth whenever there is something that changes our rather pessimistic outlook. The core of this work revolves around our rather simplistic answer to the question, what got us into these human-caused predicaments? What happened that turned us into an apparently self-terminating global culture? And the even more simplistic shorthand for our reply is that we've disconnected. We've disconnected from deeper self, other people, earth, and soul. The entire purpose of living resilience and all of our offerings is to provide support, resources, and practices that invite each of us to reclaim and expand our direct experience of connectedness with life within us and around us. I'm going to give you that again. The entire purpose of living resilience and all of our offerings is to provide support, resources, and practices that invite each of us to reclaim and expand our direct experience of connectedness with life within us and around us. So again, we assert that what got us into this human-caused global self-terminating predicament is our individual and collective disconnection. And specifically, we're calling that disconnection from deeper self, other people, earth, and soul. This is a brief overview of some of the core distinctions that make up the curriculum here in Living Resilience. I'm going to move quickly while introducing this material. You may want to stop the video from time to time to take good notes, and you may find yourself reviewing this video every few months if you're staying with us over this year-long course. If you stay with any of our online on-demand courses, you'll gradually get a more vivid picture of how we frame and contextualize this apparently self-terminating global culture and our collective disconnection. Much of that clarity will come in the next Saturday's course material, the second video in this particular topic, in which we will be talking about the many practices and types of practices that can assist us in walking this path to reconnection with deeper self, other people, earth, and soul. We're going to look at the idea of our being disconnected at both the individual and collective levels. Before we go there, let's expand this notion of us being disconnected. What does it mean to be disconnected? Another way of saying disconnected is that one way or another, particularly in the past few hundred years, we have forfeited our center, our inner sense of home. Another way to describe center is it being a baseline in our knowledge and experience, and especially in the context of our past, present, and future, and the relative well-being of ourselves and our loved ones, our jobs, school, community, and the habitat we all call home. This comes together to be our felt sense of home within ourselves when we have an accurate awareness and perception of these elements and they live within us. I love this particular way of describing our individual felt sense of center. If I'm checking out the local grocery store and the clerk asks, "How are you doing today?" I'd be inclined to say, "Fine, just fine. It's a great day." We all know that kind of interaction. Nothing wrong with it, only there's no center in it. And it probably shouldn't, or we would all be waiting at the checkout line for hours every day. Compare that to when someone who really knows and loves you asks, "No, really, how are you?" It is likely that you both know what that question means, and probably means don't give me any of that fine stuff. How are you really? Chances are you both share a shorthand way of checking in with each other that lets you say quite a bit in a short period of time. So you can quickly get to the more serious stuff or really joyous and celebratory stuff that you know they are really asking about. What does that have to do with our individual and collective loss of center? Yeah, good question. Well, it turns out that through a series of unfortunate influences, including colonization, corporate dominated governance, the commodification of everyone and everything, the comprehensive control of the public narrative, and a core lie of infinite growth on a finite planet, we all, for generations now, have been saturated in our savagely competitive, perversely incentivized business as usual paradigm, which means that relatively innocent surface response at the grocery store has become the way we relate with everyone and everything, only worse. I'll give you a little bit more about what I mean by that. We are so disconnected from ourselves that many of us are oblivious to how we really are physically, mentally, emotionally, relationally, not to mention matters of spirituality or our own soul. Where the momentary statement of fine in the checkout line meant we were just going through the motions and really didn't have the time or the inclination to have a more significant conversation, now we have that attitude on steroids. The anonymous, resigned, stressed, depressed that make up the majority of us just flat out don't care about anything other than just making it through the day, paying the bills, and hopefully distracting or anesthetizing ourselves enough to make it through the next week. Individuals on the far end of this spectrum of disconnection can be a part of the growing percentage of our population that is grappling with crippling amounts of mental health issues, including loneliness, anxiety, growing stress-related sickness, depression, deaths of despair, suicide, diminishing relationships, and lowered fertility rates. Whether we're talking about the individual or collective level of our disconnection, we're talking about a massive loss of our ability to be present at virtually every level of engagement available to us on this planet. We seem to have forfeited our capacity and ability to experience our innate relatedness or our interbeing with our own inner senses and wisdom, our relatedness with other human beings, the animals, plant life, and ecosystems that make up this miraculous web of life of which we are a part, our own personal aspect of the deeply alive source of meaning and belonging we all share, our soul. What happens when we forfeit this felt sense of individual and collective center or core belonging with life? We can start to behave in ways that generated that list of questions in the beginning of this video. We can find ourselves suspended over a massive drop from a very high cliff, like Wile E. Coyote of Roadrunner fame. Only difference between us and old Mr. Coyote is that we've had quite a number of decades of forewarning about this human-caused cliff. It could be said that the collective version of our losing of center, losing that inner sense of being aware, being observant, being a part of the earth, the web of life, was what allowed us to run ourselves so far, so fast off that Wile E. Coyote cliff. It's also been said that what had us disconnect in such a savage and self-terminating way was our collective evolutionary choice to see ourselves, the species Homo sapiens sapiens, as separate. This one core choice has taken a lot of work on everyone's part. This one core choice to deem ourselves as separate from our own inner wisdom and perception, other people, the beyond human fellow earthlings on the planet, and even separate from our own souls, has actually given us our only real human superpower. That seems strange. What superpower did we get through those choices? What is that one and only real deal superpower that has helped us at every turn of all the great things that humanity has ever done? And perhaps more significantly, this superpower is the one that has had us be apathetic to an immense amount of human-caused suffering, oppression, genocide, slavery, overshoot, habitat destruction, and even extinction. And perhaps more significantly, this superpower is the one that has had us be apathetic to an immense amount of human-caused suffering, oppression, genocide, slavery, overshoot, habitat destruction, and even extinction. What is this singular human superpower? We call it, around this neck of the woods in living resilience, we call this override. Override. Our individual and collective ability and capacity to disconnect from our own innate sensitivity and from our interbeing with all other living things. To override the clear and palpable signals, feelings, and seeing that our very human default behavior was doing far more harm to our shared habitat and fellow humans than good. So our generations old choice to see ourselves as essentially separate from not only each other, but from the entire web of life, and our hyper development of our soul human superpower override, saturated in a deep glaze of fossil fuels, have landed us square in the track of self-termination that promises to take many of our beyond human fellow earthlings down with us. This is how we here in Living Resilience answer the question, what got us into this predicament-laden, wicked problem? You may recall that I introduced this video as the first in a two-part series. The second video will be posted in the course material for the second live Zoom session here in the second month of this year-long program. And for those who are with us live in 2024, this is the course material for the second month, which is October 2024. Each month in this live version of the course will have its live Zoom sessions on the first and third Saturdays of each month. That's all the way till September of 2025, the first and third Saturdays. And all that schedule and all that information is in the course material. in our Living Resilience online community space, which is where our courses are, where our special focus groups are, and so on. Many other people will participate in the recordings only version of this course. And of course, they will be able to proceed through all the course materials at their own speed in that recordings only version. As we wrap up this video on what got us into this predicament, we ask that you really dive into your journaling and or conversation prompts to more fully understand and experience some of the insights and challenging recognitions that are available in this interpretation of what got us here. If you're in need of some ideas for your prompts, you may want to write down these next few prompts derived from the material in this video. If you're journaling, you may want to set aside 10 or so pages for your responses to these prompts. We found that many participants in this work will revisit this particular set of prompts perhaps on a monthly or even weekly basis. For some, this becomes a lifelong practice. So here's a few possible prompts for journaling and conversation use, and we call it the Great Disconnection. A reminder, the disconnection is from deeper self, other people, Earth, which of course includes all our beyond human fellow Earthlings, and soul. So the first prompt that you might want to add your own 2 cents worth, if you will, is, are there other disconnections you would add to this list from your experience? This is very much a living document, a living course, and a living body of work. And your contributions to it are warmly welcomed. So for the more formalized, if you will, prompts for that possible inclusion into a 10-page or more section of your journal, at the level of humans living on Earth, our collective disconnection, what do you notice, see, experience that have been the costs of our collective disconnection in each of those elements above: deeper self, other people, Earth, and soul? The second part of this particular prompt set lists some examples of inspiring or remarkable efforts to reconnect with life at the collective human level. Is there any good news that you can add to your prompts, to your journaling? The second portion of this, again, this section of your journal, if you're going to do it the way we're suggesting, at the level of your own human life and experience. So my own experience and perception level for your own journaling. What do you notice, see, or experience that have been the costs of your individual disconnection in each of the elements listed above? And again, list some examples of inspiring or remarkable efforts to reconnect with life at the individual life experience level. And because we're very fond of prompts, and you, of course, are willing, excuse me, you are invited to shop through these prompts that we offer, and some of them may resonate for you, and some may not. It's certainly, you're not obligated to fill out or respond to any of these prompts. They are provided just as our gift to you. We have found these prompts useful, and hopefully you will too. And we very much look forward to you sharing the prompts that you come up with freshly, newly, from your experience. Would love to see that happen in our shared chat and sharing environment there as a part of the course materials and course space in Islands of Sanity in a Mad World. So a few other prompts. Do you have any thoughts about or possible proposals regarding what has brought us to this Wile E. Coyote moment in human history? How real have you been with yourself and or the adults or older children in your life about what is actually occurring in both Earth and human systems around the world? How will your life be different with these oncoming changes? How will the lives of younger people be different? If our global predicaments have been caused by humanity's shadow elements, do we all have some amount of those same shadow elements within us? Inner or external resources. In addition to your responses to these prompts, we'd like to invite you to bring with you to the third Saturday session here in the second month of this year-long program a list of any inner or exterior resources that you're able to call on when larger scale stressors are present. This would also be a great time to share a few of your favorite songs, poems, films, books, any beauty that you would like to share. This is when it can really sink in that this inner work of collapse can be a tough row to hoe. It can also be a remarkable time of mutual support, of caring, sharing, and holding space for others. This is the inner work of collapse. Please take good care of yourself and pace yourself in this month's exploration and really for these next 12 months. Please take care of yourself. Pace yourself in this work. Give yourself time away from this work, from some of the more intense or difficult sections. And whenever possible, include people from your life in some of the conversations that you would like to be having, to be a place to be able to, I call it off-gassing, be able to off-gas some of the more challenging aspects of this conversation. This, of course, being the most difficult conversation in human history. It also is a remarkable opportunity for us to be able to find a unique, precious level of intimacy. Perhaps we could call it spiritual intimacy with one another. As we're facing these existential level challenges, there's an opportunity for us to call on the best of ourselves and to start to see the best in our loved ones, in the folks who live next door, the folks down the street, folks you work with. These are remarkable times with remarkable challenges and remarkable opportunities to become more fully human, to reconnect us in a vital way with the web of life itself. So thank you for joining us in this extraordinary program and on this path. We look forward to seeing you in the live sessions and hope you will join us and share generously, if you will, in the sharing part of the channel, the chat and sharing elements in the Islands of Sanity course space. We look forward to having a warm sense of community and connection show up there as well. Again, thank you for your participation.